Welcome to the new normal. I'm your host, Lisa Davis, aka Litecoin Lisa, and today is Friday, so you know what that means. We always remember everyone deployed, so we grab something red, you wear something red, you drink something red, you drink out of something red. I've got my new Team Mighty shirt on for 2025, and if you bought one, thank you so much for supporting Team Mighty this year. Please wear it to the Westwood meetup in June on June 20th in Metamora, Illinois. If you need more information on that, go to clintwestwood.net. Today we have a special treat for happy hour. We have the legacy, the legend, the myth, the Crypto Nana, the lady who started it all for us, the lady that red pilled us, orange pilled us, black pilled us. She introduced my husband and I to cryptocurrency, told us that the Federal Reserve wasn't federal and there's no reserves, and took us down the rabbit hole. The original Alice, or maybe she's the little white rabbit for me. So Crypto Nana joining us for happy hour. So jump in the live chat, share this video. We're going to hear more about her story, and we're going to talk about current events. And then on Sunday, it's going to be like a whole fam bam weekend. Bix is joining us for a end game chat. So it's going to be a great weekend. Make sure you join us for all of them, and we'll see what happens over the weekend. We'll be right back right after this. Welcome. Good to have you, Mom. Thanks for joining me.
Good to be here.
Yeah. So Westwood is at Litecoin Summit, and I thought, well, we'll have Mom jump in, and perfect opportunity. Sometimes you can join us, especially when I'm there visiting you. But I thought this would be a great opportunity to have you jump in. I had the thumbnail of you, which was the picture that I used when I did the presentation in Canada, where you're wearing your fur coat in the field, taking care of your cat.
Those are the good old days.
To me, that picture is such a, I don't know, it captures that transition in time and that spirit of, like, you were this Michigan, kid, city girl, but with this agrarian dream and really wanting out of that trap. And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but
no, you're right. That's right.
If you want to kind of talk about a little bit about that, kind of that point in time was such a transition. I mean, for me, I felt like we were in Oz and we weren't in Kansas anymore. I didn't know where the heck we were. Because I had grown up mostly just in Houston and very urban. So to go out to the country and there were cows in our backyard and all that was bizarre to me.
Although, technically I was a city girl. My father had built a home on a lot in what was the old Briggs estate. It was the old farm, Briggs and Staten. And it wasn't that very developed. So we had woods and, woodlots and fields and all around surrounding the house. And in order to avoid uncomfortable family time, I would go outside, and there was a lovely little tree that had a fork in it that was pretty close to the ground, so I could climb up in that and then climb up in the top of the tree, and I would sit by the hours, look at the birds, and pick leaves and whatever. So I was always very connected to Mother Earth, and then life being life. And then in college I took horticulture as one of my electives and got to grow plants. I always had plants. And then, as I continued in my city girl lifestyle and having children in the desert and all that, I was still trying to grow things and have a garden and read Mother Earth news,
Yes.
I was sort of
made us do meditation. I remember being a little kid. I mean, and I'm talking like we weren't in school yet, like 3, 4 years old, something like this, and we're all laying on the floor listening to llama sing.
No, that was
And
Marge. Actually,
oh,
she had been trained in silver mind control,
okay.
and so she had all the talk you down and the pretty music and
Yes, I
all
just
that.
remember, like, all the like, we're little kids, and we're laying on the floor, and they're, like, telling us to, like, imagine being by a river or these different scenes or whatever, and, like, that's okay. My mother's dog is a little terror, um, not terrier, but terror, but anyway, but she rules the roost. But yeah, the imagining different things, and, I know when I got older and did, like, I was it was some, like, class or something, and they were doing, like, a past life regression thing, and this lady was like, "How are you, like, so comfortable with this and did that so easily if you've never done this before?" And I was like, "I don't know." She was like, "You got a lot out of that or whatever," and she's like, "Have you ever done any of this before?" I was like, "Oh, yeah. I grew up doing this stuff, and, I had to eat carob chips when I was little, and, my mother wouldn't let us eat white bread, and, like, I lived the whole hippie." My mother was a hippie back before it was a thing, I think.
I was a health nut hippie.
Yeah.
I didn't do weed. I did granola.
Yeah,
But
we didn't get the fun part.
yeah, it was fun. It was where I really started, I guess, my spiritual journey. It was back in the 70s.
Mhm.
But
And a lot of that was a spiritual journey.
it was, yeah.
You did have health issues around it, or it was also a health,
Yeah, there was.
medicine,
I
but
can't remember the exactly what the motivation was, but and part of it might have been the influence of reading like a magazine like Mother Earth News, where you have people growing things and sprouts and all the very health conscious. And then my friend Marge, she was she introduced me to all these teas that are organic. And would you just stop at herbal teas? Oh,
mhm.
and her little collar just came off. We have construction next door, and so there are all these trucks and men, and I think I'm going to have to stick her somewhere else.
Okay.
Hang on. Tell the story. I'll be back.
Okay, I'll tell us. So, my mom went to Michigan college, whatever, met my biological sperm donor father. He wasn't in our life very much, or not in mine very much. Anyway, but then they moved to, my grandfather ended up being one of the founding kind of people involved with Lake Havasu City, Arizona. And so my mom and my dad moved out there, and my biological dad was one of the builders out there and a realtor for a time. I don't know. Anyway, we were out there, and my mom had a really tight group of girlfriends that they all, went to the beach and put us all in laundry baskets, and they all had tons of babies, and, and then they hung out together. And that's where mom's talking about she met this friend Marge that she got to be really close with, and kind of started hearing about all these alternative kind of everything from spiritual stuff to growing stuff to, in fact, that's when mom, when I did some of the cooking stuff with Canon, and she's got a little book that my mom and another friend of hers wrote when we were little, talks about, like, some recipes from their grandmothers, and recipes, how to make soap, and how to, do some little, like, alternative medicinal things, and just some really kind of cool things that people don't do anymore, even like canning tips and stuff like that. And so I've tried to get mom to, like, let me record her doing some of that stuff, just for, so that my kids would have it too, and have that information from their grandmother. I think she's back.
I'm back.
Yeah.
I gave her a chicken treat and put her in the powder room. She's not real happy.
Well, we'll see how long that lasts.
Oh, I can hear little yips, but it's okay.
Yeah. So I was just telling him about being in Lake Havasu and you writing the book.
I've heard you.
Yeah.
That was probably the foundation. And and I, probably remained a frustrated farmer until I met my second husband, and he had a family farm ranch up in Oklahoma. We were in Texas at the time, and it was always a dream of his that nobody else wanted to participate in. And so he took me and the kids up for a visit, and I thought it was great, and he was just thrilled. And I think we were married shortly after that.
Mhm. Yeah,
But anyway, it's been a journey.
it's been wild. Yeah, and you guys had a steep learning curve, but you really engaged in some things. There was like the Kerr Center for Sustainable
Yeah.
Agriculture, and you dove into a lot of those resources
Right.
around there.
And I took a livestock feeding class at the
Yeah.
community college, and then I was able to design my own goat feed. And it was kind of entertaining because I was a middle-aged woman in that class, and all these 19-year-old cowboys with their math professor. It was,
Yeah.
they just didn't understand why I was there, and I was raising the curve on the class,
Yeah, I'm sure they didn't appreciate that.
Oh, they didn't like me at all, I'm sure. But I was
Yeah.
so serious about it,
Mhm.
Oh, life.
All the science. Well, and I think that's the other thing that's really fun, and one of the things that I have looked up to you for, that you've always looked for opportunities to learn. And that's one of the things that, that I love. And I think that's why I love
Good.
where you introduced us to, cryptocurrency and the information about, what's going on in our government, and not just the government, but the world. And that's where, like, I'm so curious, and I have this, um, hunger
Mm,
for knowledge, and then I want to share with people, and I hope that they can share more information, and how can we,
right.
be more together. And that's where I really fell in love with cryptocurrency, because I felt like, you could find a team or a project, and you could all put in energy,
Uh-huh.
and then the project could be more together, and people
Yeah,
didn't lose so much, when I
right.
worked
And
in.
the Bitcoin maximalists are pretty narrow in their community, and not all of them, of course, but
Mhm.
pretty much, that's it. But what I've found with some of the altcoin people is like, okay, yes, I'm for Litecoin, but guess what? I'm also for HBAR, and guess
Right.
what? I'm also for Dragon, and guess what? Theta, Veritasium. It's like we can have our eggs in many baskets and not be offended or afraid to talk to somebody else, or be defensive about what we believe in. And I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of problems in the world, and so there's can be a lot of solutions,
Hmm.
and that's one thing, like, I love. I'm really grateful that I got introduced to the WBRT group,
Right.
and the Dragon Chain crew, and a lot of the people on that, and the people that they introduce to that platform. They're
Right.
looking for solutions,
Right.
and so you'll get to meet a lot of different people with a lot of different ideas, and you don't have to all agree on everything, but you'll meet people that will have, like, well, oh, I know this person who's, like
Mhm.
Aaron Day is really, has strong feelings against stable coins. And he's got a lot of great information about that. So, like, if I have questions about that, I know I can go talk
Yeah.
to him on that.
Yeah.
And then there's a bunch of people that are really into privacy, and I can, go hit them up about, uh, oh, what's the new one that they love? Xano, or Monero or whatever.
Mhm. Or
Um,
Zbeck, that's another one I've seen. I
oh,
don't
that's, yeah, a newer
I
one.
don't have any, but I've seen some noise about it.
Yeah, I think they're even talking about that at the Litecoin Summit, or
Yeah.
saw
Well,
something.
and I talk about these coins that I might have $50 worth, but it doesn't mean I'm rich in them. But it's like, oh yeah, that's interesting. Let me
Yeah,
get a little bit, and I'll keep it on Coinbase and watch it.
yeah,
But anyhow,
on Coinbase, but yeah.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I know you shouldn't. You should because what do you call it? Be your own custodian. But just for ease of, if I want to flip something around frequently or be able to, pull some cash into my checking account, I keep a little bit on there. No
yeah,
fortunes.
that's crazy.
Not that I have any fortunes, but in my relative world of being an old lady.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy right now. Everybody's kind of feeling it, I think, right now. There was an interesting video that I saw where they were talking about the student debt, um, and that it's kind of been quiet. Like, I guess it kicked in again, I don't
Yes,
know,
I
a
think so.
month
They
or
put it,
two ago, but it doesn't hit people's credit rating until it's been not paid for like 90 days or something.
oh, so they're anticipating
And so it's getting ready to be that trigger date where it's about to hit all these people that haven't been paying it.
right.
And a lot of them just thought they were told it was going to go away, and all of this. And then, no, it didn't go away. And now they haven't paid it for 30, 60.
Yeah,
Now
yeah,
it's about to hit that 90 days.
that's gonna be tough. Yeah.
And it's going to be devastating because it's a tremendous number of people. And
Mhm.
that student debt is what backs the US
It
dollar.
was, at one point, they said it was the largest asset.
Mhm.
Um,
So it should
when you started that story, I thought you were going to take it into another tangent. We were talking about cryptos, and I saw this tweet, not tweet, what do you call it now, post on X, by Dan Gambardello, the crypto recruiter. Are you familiar with him?
Mhm.
He came to that New Jersey meetup, and he had the darling little wife that was pregnant. She dark haired. I bet you, if you saw him, you'd remember him. Anyway, he says the delayed altcoin bull is naturally causing many to feel defeated. Many are giving up. While it has not been so easy this cycle, I think this buildup will directly play into a powerful and surprising bull move. Patience and strategy are needed, and that's not a bad thing. So I don't know. That made me feel a little better today when I read it, so I wanted to share that.
Well, good. Yeah, we always can use some words of encouragement.
Yeah.
Well, and that, makes sense as this, I originally thought that the US dollar would die. And I think my opinion of that has changed. And it's funny because Reggie always said, no, that wouldn't happen because the US dollar is actually backed by the US military.
And he knows, doesn't he?
And I can't argue with that. And then watching the most recent thing that I've seen is that India cut ties with the BRICS.
Yes.
And when India changed that course, and this is what I want to get a hold of Andy, I sent him a message, and so I'm trying to get him to come on, and that's part of one of the things I want to talk to Bix about as well on Sunday. But with India turning the tide, India has one of the largest young workforces, and now we're seeing all this, smoke and mirrors with China, and they have, maybe not the people that they have said, and they're being really harmed by these tariffs, and all the things happening, and then the Japan bond market falling, all this kind of stuff. Like,
Yes.
I
They
don't,
are the largest bondholder next to the U.S., I believe. Japan is.
yeah.
Or,
So
or, or Treasury notes or federal, whatever they are called.
yeah, I just don't know that. There's a strong partnership, of course, with India and the US, and with them saying that they want all deals in rare earth metals done in the US dollar.
Dramatically.
But whoops, that's pretty significant. I also thought it was really interesting that today Trump and Elon had a meeting in the office, and they brought in a laptop, this little dinky laptop, and sit it on the Resolute desk, and had these two guys talking, which I'm not even familiar who these other like journalists are, but notice they say the word stellar twice.
Affected over the years from
That's interesting, like XLM.
Yeah.
And we'll just play that for a second.
Personal I'll cut it off after they do.
0.8%. That is almost triple the expectations. And I'll tell you that the income numbers, really, for the first 4 months of the year, they're stellar. They're really stellar. I mean, I could go back and look at the first 4 months of many different years. Really very strong numbers, and you're right. This administration is criticized for just about everything under the sun. I've never, ever in my lifetime had glimpses into the politics of an administration in the form of transparency like this one. Why don't we be,
Transparency.
give credit where credit is due. Income really shooting up.
Rick, I also thought everybody was
Credit where credit
gonna
is
get
due.
one last-
Transparency. Relief. I mean, all those words, income, all those words just really, I don't know, are, I mean, to me, using a Uncle Cliff term, the qualia is all over that for me, but.
Anymore, you can't listen to what is potentially or possibly a normal conversation without looking for all these comms. Sometimes I think, are we just a little bit crazy?
Well, but what's been more true over these last 5 years, a conspiracy theory or what the media has said?
Well, absolutely.
I mean, that's been the conspiracy.
But just on the face, thinking about, of course, I've had a longer life than you, but life back decades ago, nobody was thinking like that.
Yeah.
New times we're in.
Yeah, it is. It really is. It's interesting. Oh, Andy's in Vegas. He just messaged me.
Oh, okay.
So he's going to come on next week.
Okay, good.
So we'll get some answers from him. So he always has great information. And I really want to ask him about that information, about his thoughts about India. And then also Mom and I, we were talking last week because we kept seeing all these, and I think they were like, oh, don't throw me in the briar patch kind of things. But those negative articles about silver, about, investors aren't even looking at silver anymore because it's so depressed and so manipulated that they just aren't even looking at it.
Yeah, they were trying to tap down the retail market.
Yeah. And then you're having all these huge deliveries. Meanwhile, what was that one story that you were telling me, Mom, where somebody had to come up with a huge amount of silver just to cover?
I want to say it was 222 million ounces of silver.
Physical
silver they had to deliver to the COMEX. And the COMEX didn't take the stores they had on hand and pay the delivery demand. They used that huge amount of silver that was just deposited to pay the delivery demand. Right. And I wish I'd have remembered the bank, and I haven't found that information again.
Either.
I'm assuming it was JP Morgan, but I just don't remember for sure.
No, it was good though.
Probably should go listen to catch up on my Bix stuff on the private road. I bet he's talked about stuff like that with Jenny, and I'm way behind.
Yeah, I'll get all caught up before Sunday for sure. But I love all of Bix's stuff. And I found a new Fed comic book from 2019 that I had missed. And it's all about Glicks. It's just all Glicks.
Wow. I wish I see that. You'll have to post some pictures or something.
Yeah, I'll put it on my Patreon so that they get first dibs on it.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah, to get to look at it and all that.
And what year was that?
2019.
2019. Wow.
So right before the Great Infection, Glicks does this whole education where Glicks is flying to 3 different planets,
right,
and helping with 3 different scenarios of one's inflation. Right. It's helping the different planets. It's kind of like is the porridge too hot, too cold?
Yeah.
Just right.
Right. Cool.
Yeah. Well, it was very cool.
I feel like we're in the final act, but I'd like to see some more dominoes fall. This summer, I guess, they should happen.
We'll see. I just don't know how. I guess I was really frustrated with the whole no arrests on Epstein and then the playing out. But then when I sat back, to me, it was the Tyson thing. It was, so I don't know if you saw that, if you saw where Kash Patel says, or no, it was Danny Bongino. I'm sorry. Danny Bongino says that Epstein, he was the only one in there when he went in, and he was the only one in there when he went out. Well, how does a dead guy walk out of the cell?
even more telling for me, as far as Bongino, somebody posted 2 clips side by side. It was Bongino on his podcast talking about how ridiculous to say that Epstein killed himself. Do you realize those sheets are paper, like strong paper, and they couldn't possibly, be wrapped around somebody's neck? And, and he went into all the how these cells are constructed so they can't kill themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And then there he is with Kash Patel, the next one, saying,
Absolutely.
"Oh yeah, I've seen the file."
Yes, it is.
I thought he looked really guilty for lying. He knew he was lying. I think he's basically a very honest man. I think it was really hard for him to do that. And I thought he just looked guilty as hell. That's all I've got to say on that.
Well, I think he was doing what he's showing the people who the FBI is.
Yes.
The CIA.
I'm sure it's part of the role. I don't doubt that.
I'll be who they are. I'll show you.
But I think it was still hard for him to do because he was so like effusive about, how, of course, he didn't kill himself. And then there he is in his suit with Kash saying, just being the face of the FBI,
Yeah. But if you have to show the people,
Yeah.
and to me, the parallel of that is the Mike Tyson thing.
Yeah.
Oh, Mike, his ego, he would never take a fall. He would never let somebody beat him. No, everybody saw the contract. They knew if Mike takes the fall on the whatever round, he gets this amount of money. And so Mike read the contract and he got the money. And they showed you how fake it all is. And I think that's what Danny's doing. Yeah. He's showing the people that what the Epstein thing is a honey trap to blackmail people. It's a government controlled op.
CIA, Mossad. Yeah.
Like the, well, I think I shared it. Hold on. I've got it. It's where like, I just had her name and now I just forgot it. The press lady, she's got, they have now the, like the, influencer person sitting there asking questions.
Mm-hmm.
And he basically says the whole, what it is, that it's so it's a CIA run by Israel, to be a honey trap to blah, blah, blah. And she's like, and he says like the whole thing. But it like gives them a seat and an opportunity to say the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right here. Mm-hmm. I know I had it right here.
I've got to go get the little dog. I think she's having a nervous breakdown. It sounds like she's
moaning. Okay, go get the little dog and I'll flip through this and give everybody a chance to see this. Hold on. Share this tab instead. And this was interesting. This was Nancy Mace after she showed her burners. She showed the burner phone.
I have some phones here. This is my personal phone. Some might call this burner phone number 1. My work phone.
No.
Think about all the social media accounts and all the burner phones and burner accounts you could have. This is burner phone 3, burner phone 4.
Remember how Trump had 2 phones on his desk?
Phone 5, burner phone 6, burner iPad 7, burner iPad 8. I got a passport in my bag. This is great. This is accurate.
So remember how Trump had 2 phones? He got a phone call at the desk the other day, and then they put another phone on top of it. He got another call. And then now Nancy Mace is showing she has 7 burners in her bag. Yesterday, she showed up with her 2 Bernese dogs. And then now she's showing her real burners. So I think they're going to show like, the Hillary phones and all that. And how many burners do these political people have?
Well, and and as a side note, they're talking about that auto signature machine that was Biden's signature, that I think they're saying that it was being run by Pocahontas.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I saw something. Like I said, I'm not real up on things. I've had 30 hours, not 30 hours, 30 minutes of sleep in the last 36 hours. So I just kind of scrolled real quickly, and I saw something with her, with about the machine and her picture and saying who's running the White House type of thing. So I think that's what that was about. But I could be wrong.
Interesting.
It just gets more interesting, by the day.
Yeah. Well, I thought I had this. Where she's doing the interview, but maybe I didn't get it. I may not have gotten it. Retweeted. Anyway, wild stuff happening. Remember when you were talking about the volcanoes?
Mm-hmm. I think it's one in particular that's, off the northwest part of the U.S.
Oh, I thought you were talking about in Hawaii.
No, I'm talking about one out in the ocean in that one Fuka or whatever they call it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then having one go off in Hawaii, and I was
But
like,
it would affect, if it did, really blow bad, it could cause a tsunami that would affect Hawaii as well as the whole West Coast, is what they're saying. And again, is that just stuff they're trying to distract us with right now, or is it really that, I don't know. I think it possibly is getting worse.
It's crazy. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So what's the big headline today?
Oh, here's the one that says that this guy says that this is who is running the Biden White House, that he's this scary guy, that Jill's head guy.
How corrupt is the DNC if so many people knew, or few people knew about Biden? Well, the president of the United States.
I mean, I think the fact of the matter is the DNC is always going to be like a campaign arm of the president, ultimately. The bigger issue was like the inner circle that was around Biden. That's it.
And I can't stress to you enough.
Like Joe Biden's chief of staff, like had an enormous amount of power.
Joe Biden?
Joe Biden's chief of staff.
That was like an open secret at the level. Like I would avoid him. Like he was scary.
What was his name?
Anthony Trump.
I've never seen him.
Exactly.
What do you mean?
He's like a shadowy, like Wizard of Oz type figure. That's what made him so like. I knew how he looked, but I'm like the general public wouldn't know how this man looked. But he wielded an enormous amount of power, and I can't stress to you how much power he had in the White House.
Bernal, and remember what Nancy Mace said, that her burner dogs, and they were burner phones. Bernal secretly ran the Biden. I think that's who was doing the pin.
Well, here's a post saying now that Elizabeth Pocahontas Warren has been implicated in the auto pin scandal, blah, blah, the video below makes more sense. So she's had a hand in it somehow.
Yeah.
And here's another one. David Sachs exposed Elizabeth Warren, and they love putting Pocahontas there in parentheses, for controlling the auto pin. She should be thrown in prison. So, I mean, there's,
Interesting.
There's some dual, yeah. Alex Jones, the fake Pocahontas was using the auto pin.
So I heard somewhere that it took like 5 signatures or something like that, or 5 people had to approve.
That is probably
one signature. So if she was
she was probably one of them. Yeah. That would make more sense than just one person.
Yeah.
That's, yeah. How else would you keep something like that secure?
Yeah. It's really wild.
Yes, it is wild. All these people. I'm waiting for the day when they can't walk down the street.
Yeah.
I did bring my red cup,
Good.
but I'm drinking coffee to stay awake.
Yeah, I know. You've had a wild last couple of days for sure. Wild. We did have some good news for Very. They have had there's tests over on VE Test YouTube channel. They have the like tutorials of how to activate your NFT on your smart metal. So you can go check that out if you choose to, or you can just leave them pristine for collectible kind of thing for your rounds. That was pretty exciting that they're making progress on that. If you're ordering the later ones, they do take longer because all those NFTs are like, individual. So
Right.
to get them. So
Pretty exciting though.
but it is exciting. It's very exciting.
History in the making.
Yeah. And then here's our crew. There's Westwood, and I don't know if those people want to be pointed out. Charlie G, I think everybody knows, but those other people are in our chat usually.
Mm-hmm.
Those are some of our good people.
That they're having a good time.
They are,
I
yeah.
hope they do it someplace besides Vegas next year.
That would be nice. Yeah. And there's Charlie Lee, the man himself. I loved that he was wearing this Star Wars shirt.
Yeah.
I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, I bet this was a great convention. I just couldn't do it.
Yeah. And then here's a horrible thing. Anthony Fauci was caught putting black children killed by his illegal medical experiments in mass graves in New York.
And some other states too, but yeah, New York's the one they talked about.
Yeah, that they exposed that. Dr. Guru says that Trump officially signs a $2.3 billion deal to buy Bitcoin and hold as treasury asset.
I saw that. That's great. And I don't know why things are tanking right now. I mean, I don't know what the primary motivation is, but
Probably because he needs to buy it cheap.
Well, of course,
the need for Bitcoin to go up to be able to,
of course, and
equalize all
out the weak hands and
debt. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. This world.
Mm-hmm. And these evil people want more stuff about.
I know.
Uphold is their card is officially coming back to the U.S. So Uphold is connected with Brave browser, is my understanding, and their card is coming back, and so I think that's a good thing for people.
And they're a wallet, right? Or now they're an exchange, or what are they?
A wallet.
Started out as a wallet. Is this the guy that was in California or something? No, I'm thinking of something else.
I'll tell you later. So then this was the Stellar thing we talked about. This is horrible. There's this drug called Kush that apparently has human bone in it, and the elites are now, that's the new thing. And this girl was caught with some of it. This is the latest thing. Like,
I know that there's been this big war to shut all this trafficking and sacrifice down. But it seems when you see something like that, it seems like there's still a bunch going on.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how much is going on and how much is like they're telling people.
Maybe
like somebody said that wasn't that much when they looked at, and I don't know how much so many grams is or whatever,
right.
But they said, and then somebody else was like, oh, that's a plant, and look, they have that really pretty girl, so everybody reads the article, and
good point.
Whatever. And so they were trying.
It's shut down, but they want you to know that this has gone on in the past. And
maybe, yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. The world.
I'd love to see what Janine thinks about it.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to get her to pull some cards on it. because I really love like her gut and her cards on stuff seems to be really, I resonate with a lot of
I really like Janine. Yeah,
what
yeah,
she said.
I followed her for a while.
Mhm. Oh, this was that thing where the girl was talking about the student debt and all how this is going to kind of all part of the.
And the brokerages, they're not paying attention to debt to income. They're not paying attention to credit quality. They're paying attention to what someone may qualify for. And I'm sure we talked about on your show is I kept raising the alarm that credit scores were inflated. And what you have so 85% of the mortgage market is owned by the government. And they have these underwriting models, which rely heavily on guess what? Your credit score. Well, what wasn't happening is delinquent student loans were not being reported to credit. Additionally, you didn't have, you were on forbearance, which is different from a delinquency reporting for mortgage. You were not getting evicted. All these moratoriums meant that credit scores were highly inflated. And, the Fed did a recent study where they went through and said, due to student loans, we're seeing drops of over 180 points in some cases in credit scores overnight. Because what happens with student loan reporting, and I'll get to why this is so important to housing in just a second, but what happens with student loan reporting is they don't report to the credit agencies until you're 90 days delinquent. So you don't get like a little 30-day on your credit, 60-day. It goes boom, 90-day like that. And so overnight, people who had not, they said they hadn't heard anything. They'd gotten phone calls, they'd gotten letters, but nobody looks at that stuff anymore. And I'm hearing junior bankers, tech people, all these people weren't paying their loans, which just kind of blows me away. But I understand that they were kind of also being promised they might go away. So I kind of get it, but no matter what, we signed that contract, right? I signed it. I was 18 years old and I was real stupid. I signed up for my first credit card the same day, but I still signed that contract. And so, yeah, lots of things need to change around this, but it's still a debt obligation. So anyway, overnight credit scores just started dropping. And by the way, we don't even have the full amount. So the DOE, the Department of Education, I got into a Twitter exchange where the guy's like, it's not that bad. It's only 8% delinquent. Look at the Fed schedule. Like, no. They're not yet all reporting to credit. The Department of Education has a study. There's a 20% delinquency on these things. And by the way, 4.5 million people are in payment plans right now through either Pay, P-A-Y-E, or Save, where they're not paying anything. Not a dollar, not a dime, which once, if the big, beautiful bill gets through, the new repayment plan means millions of borrowers are going to start having to pay like $600 a month. And you know well that our GDP is 70% consumption. So when millions of people can't spend $600 in the economy, it's just a huge sucking sound. What else happened? On May 1st, Affirm reporting to credit. Affirm is a big buy now, pay later that everybody's been using, stacking these things up, meaning you have more than one. So you want to buy that pair of shoes, then you go to the grocery store, then you do, so you're stacking them up. Well, these are going to impact your credit significantly as well, because people are going to look and say, why do you need 5 loans for $25 in groceries? You clearly are not someone that we need to be extending credit to. We won't even see that show up in Fed like numbers until after the Q2. So the consumer, and this is what I've been talking about for years. You had inflation on just your everyday items. You had increases in property tax. You had increases in insurance due to all of these events all over the country, not just on the coast. The Midwest was just Missouri. They were just Kentucky, with this huge swath of tornadoes and floods. And so it's all over the country. It's not just on the coast that insurance is rising or people are being dropped. And then replacement costs. And then you tack on that with appraisals were inflated. And Fannie Mae, which is one of the big mortgage entities out there, had told us they'd looked at 7 million comparables, 7 million sales, and 55% of them did not properly list seller concessions, inflating values. And so you have a whole country out there looking at their Zestimate, thinking they're $250,000 richer than they are, and they don't have that money in the bank. They just go out, they do some buy now, pay later. They use their credit cards because they know if it hits the fan, or they think they know, they can sell their home. But that's not what's happening, because what you're starting to see is people are trying to sell and people simply cannot qualify. And the Fed came out in February and said for mortgage refinances, there was a 41.8% rejection rate, highest since they've been tracking in 2013. And the month before, it was like 27%. So suddenly the doors of credit are being closed across the system. And all these people that qualified because they could make a payment at the time. And
that was in February. She's talking about in February, there was a 40% failure.
Wow. Probably hasn't gotten any better.
No, and she said we're about to, and when we hit Q2, well, Q2 is just closing, right? And June 1 will be the beginning of Q3.
No.
Is that right?
End of June, right?
End of June. Is that right?
Yeah, end of June will close. We're beginning the last month in Q2.
Okay. Okay. Well, that gives us a little time.
But I mean, it might only be a couple more weeks before they have to have the figures out, if, you know,
yeah,
calculated or whatever, however they do that.
It's just wild. It's really wild to see what's going on. And you know that, what is it? 70% of the U.S. debt has to be refinanced before July. And that's why, Trump met with the Fed yesterday, or I think it was yesterday. And then the Fed said, no, they're not going to lower interest rates. And of course, Trump wants that because he knows they have to refi the debt.
Housing and all that too, and business, construction. Yeah. The Fed is still in the Fed. They are still not our friend.
Yeah.
Even if the Treasury has, swallowed them, something's wrong.
Yeah.
I guess the debt, what's wrong is we're so in debt. He's just guiding us through a bankruptcy.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't always understand the steps. But
that's right. I'm curious to see if Shirley Bix has looked at that new comic book, because it talks about the 3 different scenarios, and it's quite interesting.
How new is it? Which it's not that 19 one you're talking.
19, yeah, the 2019.
The last one. Okay.
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
Okay. Yeah, I'd love to see it.
It's really interesting, and I'll post it on my Patreon for sure.
Yeah, you need to, when you have Bix on, you're gonna do that Sunday?
Yeah, Sunday at.
You guys need to talk about that. Have your little clips ready. That'll be fun.
Yeah, I'll have it all ready. He wants to call it the end of game chat.
Oh, that'd be good.
He sent me a title, so
I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah, very thoughtful.
That's awesome. Appreciate it. I wonder if that's your grandson.
I don't know.
Might be. He's
yeah,
patriot.
And I follow him on Facebook, and I can't remember if he's on X, but I think he probably is.
It might be. He's a good kid.
Ryan, is that you? Are you my grandson?
Yeah, it might be. He's smart, handsome, wonderful.
He's gonna say no, but you can adopt me.
It might be. It might be. Too funny. What else is going on?
Oh gosh. I don't know. Silver was up a little, even though cryptos are down. So I thought, well, something's moving at least. But, what else is new?
Real name's Jeremy.
we are certainly a different kind of animal. We wake up in the morning, we check our phones and check the price of silver, the price of Bitcoin.
And we hope all the banks are closed.
And then we go to X and see what the most screaming headlines are. Yeah.
Who got arrested? Are the banks down? Is the power out? We get
Is the
excited.
power out?
Power goes out. Yeah.
Yeah.
All the reverse things. Yeah.
All the good things.
Isn't that funny?
Well, those little chickens are getting big. I think I'm going to have to move them myself. You're not going to be back very soon, but it's okay. I've
Maybe-
changed my plan.
Okay.
Rather than keep them pinned up in the coop, I'm going to pin up the old lady.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Put her in there. For her, that'll be a big area in that thing. And then give them the run of the house, the coop, because that way they can get used to roosting in there without her killing them. And then we'll just do short introductions during the day, watch them and see if I get confident that she won't kill them, then I'll let her out. If not, she may have to find a new home.
Yeah, you could rehome her.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
Tammy's brother would take her.
Oh, okay.
I just hate to do that because, you know, she's lived her life here and it would be stressful going in, especially with her little gimp. But anyway, that's just me. I think we can work it out. I don't think it'll be a problem, but you never know.
She's not aggressive or anything.
Well, no, but she is a tough old bird.
Hmm.
I mean, you know.
Has an idea. I don't think she would taste very good. She's old.
Dumplings, maybe, but not fresh.
Yeah,
She would be really tough as a boot.
like
Besides, I've had to give her shots, and she got pneumonia once or something, and I gave her Tylenol, and
you wouldn't want to eat.
So I wouldn't want to eat that meat. And as it is now, her eggs, she started laying. Now the days are long, but her shells are so paper thin they break, and then she eats them. So it's like I'm just kind of keeping her as a pet, you know.
She's like a self-service chicken.
Yes, I mean I might have to do what I did to her friend, but not yet. She's you know, she's enjoying life. She's living her good life, so we'll just let her.
Nana's like the Dr. Kevorkian of chickens.
I do have to do one.
Yeah.
She would thank me. She was glad to be. She came to me in the dream at night and thanked me for putting her out of her misery.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, she was already like flopped and her head was in the water practically. So I just held it under for a few bubbles and she's gone. And then I had a dream that she flew into my lap and was happy.
Oh, that's nice.
So, yeah. So, you know, there's only one consciousness. It's in everything. So her little spirit came to tell me, thank you.
Thank you. Well, that's good.
Sometimes we want to be put out of our misery. But now that I'm feeling better, I don't want to be put out of my misery. Do you? No.
No. My goodness. Well, I appreciate you joining me on this. I wanted to jump in here and have a fun Friday night happy hour with everybody and talk about some news and kind of jump in the chat with everybody.
Say hi to the gang.
Say hi to the gang and wish everyone well at Litecoin Summit and just kind of catch up. So,
okay. Sounds good.
I will post that comic book to Patreon, and then I will be back on Sunday with Bix. So hope to see you guys all here. Thanks, Mom, for joining us. And
Lisa is not a vegetarian, but she could be probably.
Oh no, I probably couldn't.
No,
No,
you couldn't because all the good Mexican food.
Yeah, I don't think I could.
No.
I think I get cranky.
Yeah, well, you need your protein probably.
Yeah, my
if you don't get it from other, you know, like dark leafy greens and stuff, you know.
Laura could have. Laura
could have. From the time she was a baby, she really didn't want the meat. But
yeah, my oldest sister.
Mm-hmm.
We'd be driving. We lived very far from school and stuff, and so she would be like, she knew like she'd tell me I would get hangry if I didn't eat and stuff. So she's always like, "Don't take it out on me because you're hangry. You need to." Yeah. No way, I couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. All right, everybody have a great weekend. Love to you all, and to everybody traveling with Litecoin Summit, please be safe and have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. So take care, everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye.